Okay, and now I'm gonna.
Recording is on.
Interesting. And now I'm gonna share the screen. Um, okay, it's gonna be screen within a screen within a screen, I guess.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I'm gonna shift it like this, and now you're seeing your own chart.
Yes.
So, like I've told you last time when we started talking, how we make money is through our open centers because that's where we can give and receive energy. All the defined centers, they are who you are, they are how you're meant to operate, but there's no exchange of energy happening there. Others will amplify you, so
Mm-hmm.
they might get money by attracting you, but it's not how we make money. So we're looking first into your centers because I'm guessing since you already had a human design reading or report, you know that you're a manifesting generator meant to respond and wait for emotional clarity. I'm not going to go through much in strategy and authority. I'm going to move directly in what we want to discuss today. So every single open center and every single hanging gate, it's a receptor. And we are looking basically at receptors that you have, specifically hanging gates that you have, so we can explain how you are meant to attract people. The receptors that you have, like the gates that you do have, 64, 63, 57, 32, the gates you have hanging on undefined centers, or the gates that you have hanging towards an undefined center, like the 45, 25. These would be gates that would attract because this is still you, it's still your energy, this would be your message. But on the other side, the gates that are missing are the gates that you would be attracting. So let's
Mm-hmm.
say your potential clients, your niche. Now, starting from the centers, you have an undefined head center. Now, 71% of the population of Earth has an undefined or open head center, and they concern themselves with questions that are not important.
Mm-hmm.
Most people who have an open center concern themselves with questions that are not important. And what you are here to sell is inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the head is responsible for selling everything we know as literature. That's where inspiration comes from. That's
Mm-hmm.
where everything comes from. And the head has only three gates. It's very, very simple. It's 64 is I'll show you the past.
Mm-hmm.
63 you don't have it, but it's let's ponder on the unknowable, what can't be known. But
Mm-hmm.
63, which you do have, is I'll offer you the future.
Mm-hmm.
So for you the messages would sound like I show you the past and I offer you the future. uh, this is also a center that poses deep pressure. Firstly, on you. You would have to first learn how to manage that pressure for yourself. What the pressure I'm talking about is the pressure to solve other people's problems.
Mm-hmm.
I often make fun of people with an open head, saying that if their house is burning and the neighbor house is burning, they'll grab a bucket of water and run to the neighbor's house first because there's so much pressure to save somebody else, to solve somebody else's problems, that their problems seem bigger than your own. Their questions seem more urgent than your own. Now, also, what's the message you're telling people because of this pressure? Because this is how you're meant to make money. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you relieve this pressure. I'm here to help you get over this pressure. This is the message you're sending to people.
Okay.
The open head can sell a lot of things.
That's nice. That's at least that's good. Yes.
Yes, it can sell a lot of things. Like I said, from literature, all religions come from an open head, specifically from the 61, because they ponder the unknowable. Ra Uruhu used to say that 6,000 years ago, 61 wondered if there's a God, and 6,000 years later, we're still looking for it.
Yeah.
So that's the pressure of the head. It never goes away. Now, for you, both of these gates are unconscious, and the thing about unconscious gates is the fact that you might not be fully aware of them. Let me see where they are. They're sun and earth. Okay, so they're very important for your. The sun design is literally the purpose, and the earth design is grounding. So these two gates would be what grounds you and
Mm-hmm.
what keeps you moving, what keeps you authentic, what keeps you flowing. 63, the future is the purpose, and the past, the 64, is what keeps you grounded. Now, they're both in the fourth line, which means you are not gonna sell through the newspaper. You're not going to sell through ads. You're going to sell through your network, most likely through recommendations, through affiliate marketing. You can try word of mouth, and how are they called? Reviews. Yes, reviews.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Um, so the going more in detail, the 64 gate, the one in the earth, that's the grounding one,
Mm-hmm.
uh, tells people you need assistance in. You need to know this about. It gathers values from the past, it gathers from experience. It's the part of the abstract circuitry, which is the experiential collective circuitry. So it drives from experience,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna place you in a position where you can teach people not necessarily through your experience but through experience that you learned. You're not a third liner to learn through your own experience necessarily. You're a 4-2, so you have an intrinsic talent. I'm going to go to the profile too, but towards the end, you can learn through everybody's experience. The four line needs a baseline. The fourth line needs a stable foundation. So usually you're going to learn through your network. I know someone who did this and it turned out better. You could try this and it would turn out good. Things of that nature that you can learn from all your network, from all your past experiences and the past experiences of people you know. A good example of job that works for the 64 specifically is consultancy. So coaches or whatever, you don't necessarily coach the patients, you give tools to the coach to be better at their job.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Now, on the other side, the 63 is the fact that it sells, is the 63 gate is logical and it sells the future. Now, the main problem of the 63 is doubt. You are most likely, you might have also experienced this, you might start, especially as a manifesting generator, you might start projects and doubt their success and drop them.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the downfall of having an open head and a 63. I'm full of doubt. What is the future? What is possible? Now, it takes a certain dedication to bring a new beginning. So it takes a certain sticking with it to get over the doubt.
Mhm.
And this gate is meant to sell inspiration. But what's important to know, especially as a fourth line, is that you can't inspire alone. There's a saying that says that a person who's a good inspirational model has a great inspiration. So it matters who you're inspired by.
Mhm.
Now, these are your, both of them, they are your voices, but you can also attract the 61, but that would be in a different way. It wouldn't be through your voice, it would be through um, sh- knowing, to showing up. That's an individual gate, and it's the channel of knowing. And it's about sharing your own truth. That would attract people because it's a plain open channel, sharing your truth, being visible, being seen, but it won't necessarily feel like it's you. So that might be the hardest way, let's say, but it would still attract people. Now, the next center you have open is the Ajna center. Now,
Mhm.
this is completely open. From the throat, it doesn't even have gates that I can talk about, and the voices that would activate it are the 64, 63 that we already talked about. So I'm going to talk about the 47 and 4 that are on the other side of it. Now, what does this sell? It sells concepts, it sells services, and it sells endless diplomas. This is Steve Jobs. This is even Elon Musk, I think, has an open ajna. These are people who sell concepts, who sell ideas. They might not be able to build the computer, they might hire people, but they have the vision of what they want to sell. And that's what you're here to sell. You're here to sell the vision. It's intellectual things, intellectual training systems, um, operating systems, scheduling stuff, all kinds of conceptual things that would help others.
Okay.
And now I'm going to go into the people you'd be attracting, who you'd be selling to basically, because you don't have any voice of your own in the ajna. Uh, spleen. Mm, sacral, solar plexus, ego, G. All right. So we're looking at the 47.
Mhm.
We're looking at the 4. All right. So the 47 sells oppression. It's selling you out of oppression. Let me make you certain by reminding you how self oppressed you are, how you're self sabotaging, how you're blocking yourself.
Self-oppressed. And what else did you say?
let me make you certain. Let me give you a clear direction. Now, we are all repressed, suppressed. We are all oppressed. We are all suppressed in some way. We all self-sabotage in some way, especially within business, especially within the material plane. Now, this is what you're telling people: stop oppressing yourself, go in the right direction. Yeah, this is the positive affirmations kind of business. This is the I'll sell you the recipe to success kind of business. This is the six figures in 2 weeks kind of business. But the most important thing about this is that you will be attracting people who don't see themselves,
Who don't see?
and that's what you're here to show them, especially with the 64, with the past and things like this. You're here to show them experiences, you're here to show them themselves, how to get rid of the suppression, of the oppression they've put themselves in. But on the other side, the fourth is the complete opposite. It sells irresponsibility, it sells hedonism, it sells enjoy it, live it, be free, have fun. It sells success formulas, it sells ready made for you, it sells answers. And it's not about emotions, it's about actual hedonistic, it's about actually feeling good in the present moment. And it's usually selling a pattern. It's usually selling a pattern of success because it's still part of the logical circuitry. And if the 63 is full of doubt, then the fourth is kind of, it's called the youthful fully in the archetype in the I Ching.
Hmm.
So it's a person who's oblivious, who's completely unaware of the dangers there are, and steps into the world fully charismatic, full of himself, and all of that.
Hmm.
Now, these are the people you'd be attracting. You'd be attracting mostly irresponsible people who don't see themselves and who are lightly hedonistic. And they are coming for a success formula, for a ready made package. Did
Okay.
I ask you what exactly your business is?
Um, I can tell you a short. So I've always been working as a marketing, communications, business, brand builder in fast-moving consumer goods. So in very popular big brands globally. And the last years, I moved into smaller companies or family operated or scale ups. And last year in Saudi Arabia, and that's all about food systems. So the last job I had was really to build a company. So the whole structure, the branding, where it stands for, stakeholders, partnerships, what it stands for, how does it look like, how does it walk and talk, etc. That's what I'm.
Okay,
Yeah, so I'm very much in marketing, but I've always been working extremely dedicated. I'm super loyal, but for somebody else, let's say
okay,
I'm a builder.
okay, okay, I understand. How does this align to you with you so far?
Um, what aligns is the part you said on the I show, or I'm full of inspiration, and that I can often see people's talents where they don't see it, and so I'm good in inspiring people, and and getting them like more self-confident. And I brand building, yeah, I always come up with new ideas how we can build it and how we can do it. It's um so of course I'm less people, or well, of course I work in teams, or I'm leading teams. um so the marketing and how I attract people, yeah. Yeah, it kind of aligns. I hear it. Yeah.
All right, I will go next to the ego center.
Mm-hmm.
The ego center, 65% of the population have it undefined, and it's about helping people prove themselves. Now, the not self theme of the ego center is trying to prove yourself. So you would be trying to do the same thing, trying to prove yourself worthy, trying to prove yourself that you can do it. But what's important to understand in this context is that this is helping people to feel good about themselves, more importantly.
Okay.
Uh, it works in training, coaching, motivation, beauty industry. It works in many, many industries where you are there to hold people's egos in place. Now, another thing about the ego is the fact that um, it sees value. This is the biggest bonus that you have with a completely open center. You see value in others and you can see what they don't see. So they might have struggles with different things and you can tell them you'd be good at this. You can delegate tasks in ways that others can't because you can see the value behind the person even if they can't see it themselves.
Mhm. But is that because I have a closed one or?
It's because you have an open one. Only the open one can see value outside of themselves because you take it in. Me, when I have it defined, for example, I can see value in myself easily, but I find that I don't have the same ability that you have. So now I'm going to talk about the gates that will likely activate it, and that's gate 25 in the G center and gate 45 in the throat.
Hold on, but which one are you? Are you? Which one are you looking at? Oh, this is that the ego center, the yellow one?
No, this is the G center, and this
Yeah.
little triangle that's completely white is the ego center.
Ah, okay, 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 okay.
But I'm looking at the 25 because the 25 would activate the ego if it would meet the 51. So you would need to use the voice that you have of the 25 to attract the 51 to activate the ego. Now, the 25 has a bad message here. I'm just going to read it as it is.
Yeah.
People with the 25 gates are not of value until they are in their 50s.
Okay, that's good. I just get into my 50s. And why?
That's because this is the gate of innocence and it takes a long time to get initiated. And it's the kind of thing that they have to go through things, through experiences, through hardships, and through mutation because it's an individual channel. They have to do it themselves. They can't be educated from the outside. They have to go through life themselves. It's the kind of thing where you can take the horse to the water, but you can't make them drink.
Hmm.
That's the 25th, the people with the 25th. They can be shown the same lesson over and over again until they are ready to take it. They probably won't.
Hmm.
Now, this is also the part of the channel of shock. And the 25th will shock people usually with their transformation. I'm looking also where it is for you. It's in Mercury design.
So what does that mean?
It's your inner voice.
Hmm.
It's how you talk with yourself. You might shock yourself quite often. Considering it's close to gonna impact an undefined ego, you even if you changed it, you definitely had at some point very negative self-talk
Yes,
inside.
a lot.
Yeah, that's something that only changes when you actually fall, when you hit rock bottom and you rise from there. It doesn't change by itself. That's how this gate operates. And considering it's in Mercury, it's going to play out as your inner voice. This is part of your unconscious. It's the voice of your unconscious, basically. And it's actually a very powerful channel, the channel of shock, because it's the one that connects like the identity with the ego. So it usually wants to say, I can do this, I'm the best, I can achieve this. Now, that has the opposite effect whenever you go wrong with something. Just as you will tell yourself, I can do this at the beginning, as soon as something goes wrong, oh, I can't do this. What did it even make you think that you can do this? You're not good at this. It would start the negative talk. Now, what's important to understand is that what you're selling here is you're selling initiation. You're selling start this. Those memes that show that I don't know, Microsoft started from a garage. Yeah, that's what they're selling. That's what Gate 25 is selling. It's selling. It doesn't matter how the start looks. You have to start.
That's my main issue, by the way.
That's what it's selling. And yes, it would be your main issue because you have a completely open ego. That's the thing that you will have sort of to learn for yourself and then inspire others to do it the same.
Yeah, it's the starting thing. I have 300 ideas, but it's the start to take the risk, to do the effort, whatever.
It always is. Now, the other gate that points to the ego is conscience. So you have a better grasp on it. And it's in Saturn and it's in line 6. So that's role model. There's the gate 45. It's in the throat, pointing
Mhm.
towards the ego. So this is your voice that will activate this center. In Saturn personality specifically, it's about manifestation and discipline and structure and repeatability. And the gate you have here is the gate of money.
Which one?
Money.
The 45.
Yes, the 45 is the gate of money.
Okay.
And this gate basically says for every product, there's a client.
So how can I interpret that? Is that a positive or is that like, yes, so,
It's positive because it basically says I can sell anything. For every product, everything you put on the table, I can find a client for it. It it goes through whatever measures are necessary to achieve inclusion. It wants to include everyone. It wants to include people into their project, into their thing, to distribute things.
Mhm.
Now, how do they do this? By making sure people are educated that they need it. It's that thing that you didn't know you needed until they show you that you need it.
Okay. But
uh,
it's really product. Now it's products, it's not services.
it's anything, even services. If you
Okay.
have a service, you have to educate the people that they need the service. Why do they
Okay.
need it? That's the main point. Now, the other thing is that it's the part of the tribal circuitry, so it needs support. So you would work better in a small group, let's say, with a small team, or even with another person, but with somebody who supports you in this. Because when you have the support, this gate has the potential to move from the inner cycle to the outer cycle.
What does that mean?
So it has the potential to move from, let's say, a small group of clients to viral. It has the potential to move from um, getting one client after the other through recommendations because you're a fourth line to somebody pushing it out like to everybody. It has the potential to move from very slowly to a fast growth, to a rapid growth.
Okay.
When you are supported, that's the thing. You need to have somebody, even if they don't do a lot, you can bring this energy, but you need somebody who can hype you up. Most manifesting generators do.
Yeah.
My cat just woke up. He was sleeping behind me and now he's
Oh, I hear it. Oh,
now also taxation comes here. So taxes would be either your biggest headache or the thing that you're on top of, you're in control of, you have no issues with. This is where it's in this area of our chart is where we are giving back to the collective. It's where the tribe contributes with the collective. It's where the tribe makes sure that it's enough for the collective.
mhm.
So it's either specific taxes, like I said, they could be your worst nightmare or they could be something that you prioritize. Either way, it's not predictive, but it can also show up as you wanting to give something to the collective, whether it's philanthropy, charity, giving services, putting yourself out there for free in certain ways. It's the energy of wanting to expand through making sure that the collective has whatever it is you're selling. This is pretty much about distribution if we're thinking about it. Regardless if it's services or products, it's about going from small scale to big scale.
So that's also I've been doing that a lot, but I kind of stopped doing it. I've been doing a lot of volunteering, really a lot.
Me too. I also have that gate. I started my whole career in volunteering, and I everything I start by first giving it for free, and then slowly start charging.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Now, the other sides of the gate, who you'd be, let's say, attracting. And to tell you, I'm telling you who you'd be attracting because these are your niche clients and these would be their problems. The 51 is always responding to shock and disorder. They would like to be practical, but life simply doesn't allow them to be practical. These are the complainers of the world. Things always happen the wrong way, and it's beyond the material. For them, money isn't important. They would pay to solve their problems, but they need a solution, a practical solution that will get them out of whatever it is they are in.
Okay. So could that, for example, be offering a retreat or training, whatever, where they learn how to do Marie Kondo?
Yes, yes, for example, exactly. um, Out of their shock and disorder, you can make a profit with the 25 because you can show them how you can order the chaos, how chaos is just the space the part before the organization. It's fine to be in chaos right now. We're gonna fix it, we're gonna organize it.
So they have so they have like a planning organization demand question problem
They have a
or
shock
personal.
problem. Yes, a shock problem. The life always seems to shock them, regardless what it is they're trying to do. It doesn't work out for several reasons. It doesn't work out. I don't know. They're trying to build a house, there's an earthquake, and it
Okay.
pulls down everything they did. It's like they everything they do, life shocks them back.
Okay.
And the 21, now the 21, the people that you meet with the 21 are workaholics. If you, the 45 is here to make sure that the tribe has enough, all of that. The 21 is here to die working for the tribe, for those resources. These are, if you don't do your job, you die. This is a gate so deeply intertwined with control. They're exactly the opposite of the 51. If the 51 feel like they can never have their life under control, these people control their life to the most minutious thing. I would call them a bit OCD. I have gate 21. I have the whole channel.
Okay.
Now, this is about survival, control of survival. What is do they usually look to buy? They usually look to buy things that will keep them surviving. They look to buy very basic things like food, clothing, shelter. To convince these people to buy something else, you have to take them out of powerlessness. You have to empower them, because this is a gate that's so much trying to be in control. This is also a gate that usually is tied with abuse of alcohol, because the only way to release control at some point is through some sort of abuse, and take them out of that, take them out of the powerlessness that they can't control everything, showing them that they don't have to control everything, getting them to be more comfortable with the chaos that the other ones are experiencing all of the time. This is also a people who would benefit from community, but they usually subtract themselves from it. They usually isolate themselves from it. Just like the 45 needs support, so does the 21. It's still part of the tribal channel. But if the 45 is in the throat and it's actively expressing their need for support, the 21 is like, nah, I can do it alone. I'll try, I'll walk in trenches, but I'll make it. They don't. Without support, they don't usually make it.
Hmm.
How does it resonate so far? We have also the spleen.
Yes, I have to say I recognize a little bit also in the 21. Not in 20, in the, yeah, in the 21. Yes, I understand that those people can use something. Um, I'm quite I'm quite good in discipline and structure and getting things into order, but also to look outside in, or to see more opportunities than only one, or calm down people indeed who think they're always in chaos. Although I have issues with 51 people. Is it the 51 people? Yeah, who think their life is one chaos and everything goes in a negative direction for them.
Yeah.
But I
Uh,
can, but I'm very positive and optimist by nature, so I could help them out or help them out. Yeah, show another side.
yeah, these are usually the pessimist people of the world, but it's fine. They have their role because they ground something. They ground the idea exactly the 25th, which is innocence, which is a bit hedonistic. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, they're complainers, they're pessimistic, but it balances out.
Hmm.
Now, The splenic center is also like 47 of the population. Most centers are around 50-50, the solar plexus, most of them, except for the head, which is a big majority have an open head. So the spleen center is selling well-being. It sells letting go of things that are bad for you. The not self theme of the spleen is holding on to things that are bad for you, holding on to relationships that are bad for you, holding on to uh, whatever practices, habits, substances, objects that are bad for you, and holding on to them like it's for dear life, like your life depends on it. But the wisdom of it is learning to let go of things. And that's exactly what they're selling. They're selling let go of things that are bad for you. Now, in the splenic center, there's a lot about the capitalist because the splenic center doesn't really understand capitalism. It's rooted in survival and it's rooted in fear. So the whole expansion is uncomfortable for the spleen. The capitalist movement requires to leave behind things and go into the new over and over again, by the new form, by the new thing, by the new thing. Let go of the past, old and outdated, not useful anymore. Get the new thing. Now, the spleen is really uncomfortable with this aspect. It's tied to survival and it's tied to keeping things. These are people with open spleen. I can guarantee you have a memory box somewhere. You have things stored, a shirt from some time when you enjoy it. It doesn't fit, you don't like it, but it's still there because you can't throw it away. It means something. This is the open spleen. And the open spleen doesn't make it in the capitalist world without support. Without somebody holding their back, hyping them up, encouraging them on their way, it feels like they're drowning at every step forward because every step forward for them means letting go of something from the past. And this is a very hard movement to do for the spleen.
So that is if you have it, if you have an open spleen.
Yes, like you have it and like I have it as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, going to the spleen, you have two voices there that are your own, the 57 and the 32. The 57 is the most intuitive gate. Before I even go into business, the 57 is the most intuitive gate in all human design. It's supposed to have all the intuitive abilities into one. For you is in Uranus. So it's what's going to make you, let's say, uncomfortable, what's going to make you wake up to spirituality. There's going to be a sense of intuition in you. There's going to be a sense of knowing there's more to things than you see. And it's conscience and it's in the fifth line, which means people will listen to you when you share those insights. And they would be, oh, how do you know that? And you'll be like, no idea. I had a feeling.
Okay.
Okay, so the 57 is clarity eliminates doubt. Now, this gate is also very connected to doubt, just like the 63. So you have two gates that push doubt into your process.
Mm-hmm.
But this one requires you uh, to get clarity, to trust that instinct, to trust your intuition. Now, how it sells to testimonials. You can't say what you know because you don't know how you know it. Others will say she's very good at knowing XYZ. She's very good at doing XYZ. You are paving a road, taking people through it, and then they go on to tell the tale.
Then they go
You
on. Sorry, what did you say?
they go on to share the tale. They go on to share what happened with others. You don't share yourself. Let's say successful client stories.
Mhm.
Clients tell their share their
Mhm.
success, and it brings other clients. It's a lot about communication in this gate. It's about a lot about giving others the chance to experience something so they can talk about it. So this is the kind of thing that would sell, let's say, one free workshop so that people see it and then they'll sell it to their friends, the paid one. They'll join more people in the paid one or things like this. It's giving chances to people to interact with you.
Mhm.
And the 32 is part of the tribal channel, again requires support. It's unconscious, again in Uranus, so these two gates are exactly in the same position. One of them is conscious and one of them is unconscious.
Okay.
And the 32 is the fear of failure. It's unconscious, and that means you will start projects, especially with the 25 and with the 45, with full belief in them. But as soon as you're actually in them, this will kick in.
Yes.
The fear of failure will kick in automatically, and it usually creates a lack in continuity. It puts a stop, it changes things, it rephrases everything, especially being in Uranus, which Uranus by default wants to change things, wants to break patterns. Having these gates, particularly here, tells me that whenever you feel like something might not work, you go back to the scratching board. You go back and re innovate. You go back and rethink it from scratch.
Yeah.
And that's going to pull you out of the momentum because usually success comes, when we're impatient for it. It means there's just a little bit longer. It might just, the next offer might just be the one, but we're not patient enough to see it through because we already foresee how it's going to fail.
Yeah.
Now, with this gate, you sell motivation. You have to hype yourself up and you're going to hype others up in the same way that you hype yourself up.
Okay.
Gate 32 can also be, especially since it's unconscious, it can be very pessimistic. It can see failure as a species. So, failure as a humankind, a failure. You might watch the news and be like, stop the planet, I just want to get off. This is not humanity anymore. It's all wrong. It feels failure at a very, takes the failure of others at a very personal level because it's part of the tribe. So it identifies with others.
Mhm.
Now, the thing to remember and even to share with others is the fact that failure is guaranteed if there's no continuity. If you stop the project, if you go back to the drawing board, failure is guaranteed because you made it fail. With no continuity, you didn't even give the chance to the project to actually work. And this is the message of the gate that failure is certain if we don't motivate ourselves.
Okay.
Now, there's another thing that's important for the 32 is the fact of it moves towards the root. So it has an intrinsic pressure. What's the pressure? The pressure is the difference between where you are and the potential. That creates a tension because you want to be there, you want to be in the potential, but you are in the present moment where you haven't reached that potential that yet.
Mhm.
Now, most whatever manifestation, love, abundance, all of that will tell you
Mhm.
to think about the potential, manifest the potential, be in the vibration of the potential. Now, gate 32 says, nah, we have to feel that tension, that discomfort between where you are and where you want to be is the motivation that will push you forward. It's not the idealistic gate that says looks at the vision board and says I'm gonna get there. It's the pessimistic gate that says I can't do this anymore. I have to move forward.
With something else.
Yes,
Mm.
it's literally it's very pessimistic this gate because it's part of because of where it's positioned between the spleen and the root. The root is pressure and the spleen
Mhm.
is fear, so it's putting pressure on fear. But the kind of feeling that this gate gives is if something doesn't change, I'll die. Because that's the spleen, it's survival. Anything that doesn't change for the spleen. If the spleen has to let go of their favorite shirt, they feel that they'll die. If they feel that
Okay.
they have to let go of their favorite person, they feel like they die. Now, this gate feels if there's no change happening, if nothing changes, there's no point. And that's why this gate works in exactly that tension. It thrives on that specific tension between the discomfort of the present moment and the potential is the only thing that is able to, let's say, get over the fear of failure.
Okay.
Now,
But do I have anything there that it improves or increases the ability to really make the change?
perseverance, continuity,
Mm-hmm.
sticking to it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's what it says. So it's failure comes from a lack of continuity,
Mm. Okay. Yeah.
uh, and success comes from inner motivation, hyping yourself up. Now the 32 that we just discussed
Mm-hmm.
connects to the 54 in the root. Now the root you already have it defined. So you're either gonna quite recognize this aspect, even though you don't have the gate, because you might be able to mimic them. Let's say the not self will be able to take on these characteristics, or you'll know a lot of people with them. The 54 is meant to move from rags to riches. It's meant to move from poor to rich. It's meant to um, answer the question, how do I get to the top? Now,
Okay.
this is pretty much stupid ambition, blind ambition. Somebody who has no chance but is willing to do whatever it takes. To give you an example, I just remember seeing now the movie from the new Trump movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very good example of the gate 54 because it's all in the deal. It's all in how you talk with people. It's all in how you're stepping in others' positions without cheating, without actually disturbing them, but it's in the bargain. They feel like they did a good deal.
Okay.
I related it to that movie because in the movie he presents his constructions and his view of New York as the best deal ever and gets releases and all the things that wouldn't be possible, but he makes it sound like it's the best thing you can do. And that's what 54 does. And that's how 54 pretty much motivates the 32. That's why they're connected.
Okay. But this is a 54 also because it's ambition, also action, or it's just selling.
It's ambition. It's the thing about the 54 is that it's usually tied to politics, which again, Donald Trump is a freaking good example
Yep.
because it transcends morality. It doesn't say do the right thing to succeed. It says do
Mhm.
anything necessary to succeed. As long
Okay.
as you're not caught, as long as you're not caught cheating, all good, all flies. Now, this channel is called the channel of transformation because it's the fruit is not yet uh, ripe for the taking. Yeah, so it's the channel, the whole channel, the 3254. It's the attempt of making the young girl ready for marriage. That's the idea behind it.
Okay.
And we have also gate 20 in the throat. The throat is the hardest to find because usually I don't, since I'm usually reading for manifesting generators,
Yeah.
it's they all have the throat defined. Nobody's making money to the throat when we're manifesting generators.
No.
But in this case, the throat, the connection to the 57, the 20 to the 57 would activate your spleen. So what does gate 20 say is always ready. Is people who are always ready, who are always able to respond. These are people who are able to take action. Understanding leads to action. So now to summarize a bit everything I told you, you're basically here to educate people that they need something, a system, a structure, a concept. You're here to educate people that they need a structure that would make them feel better about themselves. They would see value in themselves, that would get them to well being. And they are meant to respond in the present moment by understanding what you said that leads to action, leads to buying, leads to engagement.
Okay.
Now, a bit about your profile. Your profile is 4-2. Now, the fourth line is unconscious, which means you're not gonna see it as much. It's always there. Your network is always there. You're not going to find a job through the newspaper. You're not going to find a partner on dating apps. You're not going to find clients through adverts. You're going to find all of these through your network. Somebody knows someone who knows somebody else who will put you in touch.
Yeah.
That's something that will happen naturally to you because it's unconscious. And even if you try to break out of it to look for jobs online or something like this, it just doesn't work out. And then a friend comes over and tells you, hey, I know somebody who needs something.
Super true. Yeah. I was, the other one said, forget about LinkedIn with you. You need to really go to whatever meetings or people you know and drinks or, but that's how it works.
Yes, it works from direct networking to knowing people, to having people to put you forward. It's said that the fourth line never meets a stranger in their life because whomever they meet, it's somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. If they have to discuss it, they will always reach a common person, even if they seem complete strangers at the beginning. Now,
Yeah.
your conscious side is the second line. It's
Hmm.
the hermit, which means you tend to seclude yourself, even from the network. You tend to hermit, you tend to isolate yourself. And that's not without reason. That's because you usually tend to focus on something individual. The second line has an intrinsic talent, always. They are naturally talented to solve in something. Usually, they don't know they're talented. They do it as a hobby, they enjoy it, they play with it, but they don't know it's their talent until somebody from outside comes in and tells them, you're really good at this. You could do it for X, Y. You could sell this. To give you an example of a second line, the best example is Van Gogh. He, right, he's so well known now, but he died poor because he wasn't aware that his art is actually valuable. And he kept painting in his house until his brother came in and saw his art and said, "Ah, you're actually talented."
Okay. That's great. Mm.
So the problem with the second line is that they don't know always what they can do. They do it either way. There's something in your life that you do because you want to do. There's no other motivation to it. But you probably don't see it even as a source of income or as a possibility.
Okay.
Now, this is pretty much the idea of a, let's say, businessy reading. Let me know what questions you have. What can I answer more? What can I tell you more about?
Well, maybe first about the hermit. So to hide away or to seclude. Um, I don't know. It can be a negative, can be a positive, but I think if I relate back to it, it's in big companies. It doesn't always help me. Not at all. I think if I feel a lot of negative energy around people, or mostly then my managers or CEOs, whatever, I start to seclude. I don't want to
Mhm.
be. I don't want to be there.
That totally makes sense in the I because but it doesn't have to be negative always. When you seclude, what do you do with your time? Because the hermit finds their passion, finds their direction usually alone. And
Yes.
this is the personality side. So this is about what you want to do. In I will give you a bit of information now about my alchemical program. In Alchemy by Design, how I see the two parts, the two crystals of consciousness. The red one is the unconscious, is the design crystal, and the black one is the conscious, is the personality crystal. Now,
Hmm.
the design crystal is part of nature. It's our vessel, it's our body, it's our unconscious, it's the part of us that intelligence deals with all the bodily functions, but it's the part of us that wants to transcend, that wants to raise, to move from a physical form into something, into purpose, to have a purpose, basically. And it does this by going within, deeper and deeper within, knowing yourself, loving yourself,
Hmm.
getting to understand yourself better. And this is why I move on the alchemical plane for the unconscious from Saturn, which is lead, to Sun, which is gold. I follow the let's say, normal alchemical process, moving from lead to gold, and understanding how to be, because this is what it is about. The design is the feminine, and it's about being who you
Hmm.
are, how you feel in your skin, your inner thoughts, your inner emotions, your inner world. Now, the personality crystal, which is where you have the hermit, is the conscious mind that it's here to express itself. It's here to experience itself through the body, yes, but its purpose is completely the opposite. Its purpose is manifestation. Its purpose is taking inspiration, taking ideas, and bringing them to form, making them a reality. It's not about money necessarily, because today's spirituality made all of manifestation about money. It's about taking something that only exists in your head and making it material.
Hmm.
And that's why on the personality side, I move from Sun to Saturn. I move from inspiration, which is Sun, from an idea, which is the potential, which again the Sun represents. I move through the alchemical process backwards to Saturn, which is discipline, structure, repeatability. It's fixed, it's making it into the material world.
Hmm.
So even though we need both of them, even though to balance out who we are, we need to be authentic in ourselves. That's the design, being authentic in yourself, and using your ideas to bring them to manifestation. That's what makes our mind happy, to get from here to Saturn. That's what gets us happy. That's what gets us to feel successful. And
Hmm.
for you specifically is from 35. 35 is haste. 35 is always being in a rush. I'm willing to bet that you wake up and get out of bed, wow, quite a lot, with a million things about. I said quite a lot because look, you have the starting point of the design in 35 and the starting point of personality also 35.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like to start as early as I can because there's so much to do.
There's so much to do, exactly. This is the energy of haste, the energy of putting more on your plate that you can actually do.
Yes, that's very recognizable. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it wants to move to money. It wants to move to the manifestation of a safety material for the collective, the distribution of goods. That's where all this haste wants to go get to, through all the planets, but that's where it wants to get to.
To sorry, how did you say it? To
It wants to get to distribution. It wants to get to the material plane where there's enough for everyone, there's
yeah.
enough for the collective. It doesn't want to achieve abundance for itself. It wants to create more than for itself. It wants to create abundance for the tribe, abundance for the collective. It wants to create
Ex-
abundance in general.
That's how I tell my friends. It's not to become. I don't pretend. I don't need to become rich myself. I mean, that's nice, but it doesn't drive me at all. I want all my friends, people, the whole society, to lift up or
Yeah,
to raise. No, it's not about Suzanne. That's not my point.
but that's where all the haste is moving towards. So that's the direction where your morning haste is moving towards. Considering it's also in your Saturn design, I tell people over and over again, this is the reality we wake up in.
It's a sorry.
This is the reality we wake up in every morning, because Saturn is what connects us to, let's say, this matrix, this plane, this Maya. In human design calls it Maya, others call it matrix, others call it planet Earth, regardless what you want to call it. This human experience, we go into it through Saturn. Saturn is the keeper of the rings, is the holder of time. It always had names like that, and it's what grounds us here. And we can never escape the shadow of the 35. In my program, you'll see it. You're going to receive the report for free, like I told you. In my program, all the gates on the unconscious side, because the conscious works differently, all the gates on the unconscious side have a polarity between the shadow and the divine, between light and dark. But the shadow of the 35 of the Saturn, specifically of Saturn, not of, you have 35 in Saturn, can't be completely overcame. We always wake up there. For me, for example, it's gate 10 and it's lack of self confidence. I always wake up there. I always have to hype myself up to get out of there. You will always wake up with too much on your plate. There's not going to be a morning where you wake up and say, I've got nothing to do today. There's not an option.
No, never. The only thing is that you know what happens if I get if I'm doubting, I have self doubt, and I want to move to this 45, so the abundance. I need to remind myself every day there is already abundance, and my negative self talk is there's not enough. There's not enough. I need to do more because there's not enough.
That's also your 58 and 38. Yeah, you have two gates here pointing towards the spleen, which would activate some fears. The 38 is the fighter. It's also unconscious and in Mars, which is the gate of fighting.
Oh.
So you have the fighter in the warrior gate. So the 38, if you don't have something to fight for, so if you can't fight for a cause, if you can't fight for yourself, life is going to bring you stuff to fight against.
Mm.
So I always tell people with a 38, find something that inspires you and fight for it, because otherwise your whole life will be a battle against the forces, against them, whoever them is. It's a invented concept, but that's how life feels for somebody who doesn't have the motivation to fight for something.
Mhm.
And the 58, you have it in the nodes, so it's your perspective, so it's very quite powerful. And the 58 wants to correct. So when you say it's not enough,
Mhm.
it's it could be so much better off if it would be more.
Mhm.
That's exactly how gate 58 sees. It doesn't see correction in the sense of you're doing this wrong. It sees correction as things would be better if.
Yes, literally. Mm. So that always how it feels is it keeps me always in motion.
It's on a very, very defined route. You have so many gates on the defined route, which tells me you work great under pressure, which
Yes.
tells me that the shadow of the 35 and the sun are not something that hinders you. Yeah, they're a shadow, but they're always there. Probably considering you work well under pressure, you've already accepted and integrated them without knowing, without even realizing that you've done that. It's just an aspect of how pressure moves you, because it's a very, very well defined route, and it's connected all the way to the, even though you have a split profile, it's still connected all the way to the identity. So it's connected to your identity.
Mm.
No, you don't have a split profile because they connect on this other side. Ah, okay. You have a single definition. Yes. Okay. So you can function independently. But considering how much tribal circuitry you have, you can function either completely as an entrepreneur with support, so with
Mhm.
collaborators, or in small groups. That's what benefits you most.
Yeah, that's how I feel most confident, I think. Because I want to make an impact, and I feel if I work in a big companies, my impact
Is
decreases
diluted.
or
Yes.
is less visible.
Yes, you have some, but not a lot of collective circuitry. You have the 515 and the 952. These are the two channels that you have in collective. These are both logical. One of them says that you work great in routines, not in the sense that you do the same thing every day, but in the sense that you do the same things in the same order. They can be at different hours, but they are happening, let's say, ritualistically. And the 952 is the channel of concentration, which tells me you get hyper focused. You hyper focus on a project until it's done. This can be a downfall, actually. I'm going to say both ways. So, the good thing about it is you hyper focus and you finish the task. The bad thing is you hyper focus, finish the task, and drop it. You might not take it to the sales level. You might have, I don't know, 10 projects finished and ready to go for sale, but never put out because you're going to hyper focus on the next one.
Yeah, that might be a point. Yeah. Because of my hyper focus, I can, in my last job, I did something nobody had done before in a timeline nobody had done before. Of course, in a team, but it was my team. But I could have maybe benefited much more if I would talk about it or show it, and people know it's my it's my achievement or my achievement that I was running it. But
Yeah,
then yeah, yeah, and I don't
yeah,
even see how big it was. Now I think, oh, it was quite good.
exactly. But there's the second line. There's the second line that you don't see what you are able to only by. Wait, I'm gonna stop the screen share somehow. Okay, okay. So let me know if you have any other questions. I'm gonna send you the alchemical report, and I'm gonna send you also the automatic report that this application gets, the MMI. It's very technical. I don't know if you're gonna understand anything from it because it's just the names of gates and stuff. But I'm gonna send you so you have the chart and you have the names of the gates. I'm gonna send them both to you by email a bit later on because I will have to pick up my daughter. But let me know if you have any other questions.
Yeah, well, my point now is because I'm doing so many things, I might have, let's say, 10, and I'm not even know if they're feasible, right? But, let's say I have 5 different business ideas, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm making collage, so that's not nothing business worthy. I just love to do it because I need to refocus or unfocus or unwind. I don't know how to call it. And all those 5, should I do it? Should I not do it? And I'm working on them. So I'm all working on those things, probably also because of I'm a man gen. But can you see, or is there anything in here where you could say, well, if you would do this, it would help you get there or sell it or get it out?
Uh,
Or any
I
recommendations or
Depending on what business. If you want to get out a consultancy business, I would rely on the gates of the ego. So the ones that we discussed around the ego, the 21 and the 45
hmm
and the 51. So if you want to go in consultancy, in coaching, in all of that. If you want to go even in selling products, I would still go that direction. Now, if you want to go in uh, motivating teams, in working with teams, I would rely more on the spleen because that's a lot more about support. And I would rely a lot more on your intuition. I would rely a lot more on motivating yourself and motivating others. These are aspects that would be very different depending on the field you want to expand.
hmm
Because if you want to write a book, you could do that. Now, your biggest advantages are the complete open centers, which you have two of them.
hmm
It's the ajna and the ego. So
hmm
either selling value, seeing value in others. This can also work in teams in the sense of, like I told you, the ego center is really good at delegating. They know how to delegate, to put people in their best position.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but the ajna is the one that sells concepts. So that's where these two areas are what would be best for you because of your complete openness. You can attract all kinds of, people.
Mm-hmm.
And what would you need to work on? You would need to work on literally your own doubt because the ajna, open ajna, is uncertain. So you're never going to be certain about something. You're going to have to deal even with that 32 fear of failure. You can't see the success before you're there.
No.
I talk about it even in my book, in my work. Purpose is something that, from my point of view, we can only see in the rear view mirror.
Hmm.
And it's not something that you find once in your life and it's done. That's the mission of your life. It's something that changes over time. We reach one purpose, we reach one mission, and that's the seed of something greater, that's the motivation of going further. And uh, we can only see, just like you said now, what a good achievement you did in that project. We can only see that, oh, I achieved the purpose, oh, I did something, I saw value in me. We can only see it in rear view mirror. We can't see it while we're going there because while we're going there, the road is foggy. We only have the present moment. We don't have the future ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And with the 57 and with an open spleen, doing it afraid, doing it insecure, it's not optional. It's the only way.
Hmm. Yeah, that's kind of okay. Story of my life. Accept it and deal with it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very clear. I mean, then that's what it is. And then the other question I would have is, so my husband or partner, he would love to do something together. He's a lawyer. He's doing something totally different. He's a projector. I think he's just 6'4". Would he be a good business partner? Yeah, I don't know if you can say it like this, but he's kind of supporting me always all the way through.
My question is, are you recognizing him as somebody who can help you?
Yes,
Because
in many ways, yes, yes, because he's always
because
giving me the yeah.
for projectors, that's all that matters. It doesn't, I don't even need to see a relationship chart because if you enter in it correctly, like you recognize his gifts, his abilities, then he would be able to guide you to success. And most importantly, he would be able to guide you to success without knowing that he's doing it. A projector that tries to guide, it's a useless projector.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because a projector that tries to guide is operating from a mental strategy of thinking they know better than you.
Mm-hmm.
But a projector that doesn't try to guide and just goes with the flow and, let's say, accepts situations as they are, uh, they can tap into your energy. The aura of the projector is penetrating and absorbing. So they basically absorb your energy and know how to guide it intrinsically.
Okay. Yeah,
What a
because
projector is best at, and
Mhm.
I'm finding it fascinating, experiencing it myself, it's at focusing us as manifesting generators. We as manifesting generators can have, like you said, 10 different business ideas, want to start with all of them. But when a projector comes in and says this way, the whole energy kind of hyper focuses and that thing gets done. That thing happens. And that's the magic between manifesting generators and projectors. With
Mhm.
generators, it works a bit differently because they are a bit more focused anyway than us. They do
Mhm.
things one at a time. But the projector has the ability to focus you.
Yeah, and that's probably what I need. Yeah. Hmm. And then he can. So does it work that he focuses? Let's say I have my 5 ideas. That he would say like Why don't you focus on idea, whatever?
Hmm.
Go for organize a retreat. He's telling me, okay, just next year you have done two. He says you need to think like this. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yes, but allow yourself to see that. Allow yourself to see the possibilities he's putting out, because that's basically what it means, recognizing him. It means recognizing that he's able to see that. Projectors are here to see. They don't see themselves, they see you. He might not know himself at all. He might not be even interested in his unconscious and his things and his all of this, but he will most definitely understand you in a way that you might struggle to understand yourself
Hmm.
sometimes.
Yes.
It might seem like he sees right through.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He can really get to the point. Yeah. 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 That's true. Okay. So that makes sense. Okay. No, yeah, it's super clear. What would you recommend now? So I have this, you'll send the report. So if you were me, so what would you do now? Hearing all this, and where is the
So,
opportunities?
first of all, I would recommend to just take this in. I wouldn't even recommend to read the report, the alchemical report right now. Just sit with this and allow it to sit in and see what direction you want to move. You'll have to respond to it from emotional clarity. So, definitely, all of this would bring up some emotionality, and you would have to respond to it from an emotional clarity standpoint. So, and after, look through the alchemical report, look through your Saturn gate, look where you recognize them. And the first thing I would like you to let me know is if you recognize yourself more in the repressed side of the shadows or in the reactive side of the shadows. Because depending on the situation, I would recommend, let's say, different approaches.
How do you say it?
I
Repressed or reacted
reactive, yes.
emotions? Or how do you,
Shadows. It's presented as shadows in the alchemical reports.
okay. So in the report it says both shadows and your qualities, or
Yes, yes, yes.
okay.
It says all both your negative points and your positive points.
Okay, fantastic. And then I will let you know repressed or reacted shadows,
Yes.
where I recognize myself most. Okay. Because what I
Because
do is, yeah, go ahead.
depending on where you recognize yourself, I would either recommend you to go towards a self work practice, and I would just give you materials such as journals and stuff like that. Or yeah, I would recommend one on one once a month or something like that.
Okay, got it. Yes. Because my nature, and maybe that also comes out of this, I start reading everything about it. I deep dive. I'm like, oh, what is it? And I want to know everything. Like, sorry.
Yes, it does with your 952 with the deep dive, the hyper focus, but that
Yeah.
can also keep you very stuck because it's a deep dive that might not ever end.
Exactly, and that's my point. And I want to know everything, and I go to the next project, and then I want to know, and my point is then I don't feel I know enough, so then I don't feel good enough to offer it to other people. That's where I'm stuck. You see what I mean?
You
So I,
That's the open ego. You have to remember and constantly remind yourself that there's nothing to prove. You don't have to prove yourself to others. So, what does enough even mean? Enough is not an amount, and enough is a decision.
hmm. Okay, perfect. I write that down. It's a decision. I love that one. That's my big issue.
Yeah, I think we all have it at some point from for different reasons. In your case, I can read it in the open ego, but in my case, I felt it like I'm too much and
Oh,
have to constantly tone myself down and don't say that and don't do that and stop that. But we all have aspects in where we self sabotage, regardless if it's in pushing too much in a direction or self sabotage, not allowing ourselves to move in the direction we want. We all tend to self sabotage, and that comes mostly from the motivations of the mind. Those motivations of the mind, when we're not comfortable with ourselves. That's why I start on the unconscious side. That's what your report will be, mostly on the unconscious side. When we're not comfortable with ourselves, when we're not comfortable with our unconscious, the unconscious creates certain beliefs and certain patterns. I have an exercise. I will send you the questions. And if you have a hard time doing it yourself, you can always book a session and we'll work it together. I will send you the exercise to do it yourself. It's a exercise that shows you how we're creating our reality and how it's happening from our unconscious mind. It's not happening because we want to. Every time I tell people we're creating our reality, I have the backlash that they're telling me, how am I creating pain? How are people creating suffering? How am I creating scarcity? I don't want that. How can I be? Yeah, we are creating it unconsciously. We are not creating it consciously. The conscience goes in. Let me just check what's your motivation. The conscious mind goes into transference because the unconscious pushes and the unconscious mind goes into transference. Okay, your motivation is hope, which means you are designed to be hopeful, to be positive. You are a natural optimist.
Yes, 100%.
And you are a person who naturally sees the possibilities. Now the transference is guilt. The transference is taking the world on your shoulders. The transference is, I'm gonna do it because they can't, I feel guilty if I don't, I'm gonna drop my ideas and do this because I feel guilty if I don't. The transference is guilt. And when we're not stable in ourselves, the motivation of the mind always transfers. There's no way around it. It will transfer.
Okay. Mm.
My motivation is innocence. I'm supposed to be doing things for no reason. And normally I do a lot of things. I do my studying, I do my dancing, I do my reports, I do my book writing. I do everything for no reason. They're for me. They're a place for me to enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
But I transfer into desire. And as soon as I put a carrot in front of myself, I have to reach that. Nothing works anymore. I'm not enjoying it anymore. I'm pushy. I'm so usually the motivation transfers because we're carrying something, we're believing something that makes us transfer.
Mm.
I'm
Okay.
gonna send you through. I think through email. When I'm gonna send you the report, I'm gonna in the text. I'm gonna send the exercise.
Thank you so much. I know we're over the hour, so or 1 hour. So you go pick up your daughter. Where are you based, by the way?
In Malta,
And where is that?
in the middle of the Mediterranean.
In Mo. Say it again, please.
Malta, Malta,
Mos.
Malta,
Mostar.
Malta. Well, it's a city in Malta.
In Malta. Oh, sorry. In Malta.
Yeah,
Okay. So you must have good weather.
yeah. It's quite sunny right now and kind of cold, but in the house it's warmer outside.
Oh, that sounds good. Okay, yeah. I'm in the Netherlands. It's super cold.
I have quite many clients from Netherlands. I think you're the fifth.
Oh, wow.
I think I should start thinking of a retreat or something in Netherlands.
Oh, yes, I'm happy to help out. Do you hear me? Manjan. So, yeah, it's good. Yeah, I think it's gaining more traction.
Yes,
The,
yes.
yeah.
My first coaching client on this program was from Netherlands, and she helped me pretty much build it up because she was the first one, the guinea pig, willing to try it out.
Wow. Oh, that's good to hear. I like people helping out other people. I think that's always very positive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Uh,
cool.
All right, so I'll email you. Today worked great because actually my daughter is with my sister. Otherwise, I would be much more in a hurry to pick her up for school. But from my sister, it's not that much.
Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's because you should not be too late. So okay, okay, then that makes it
Thank
good.
you. Thank you very much. And I'll talk with you through email, messenger, all that.
Oh yes, look forward to the report and thank you. It's a lot of food for thought. So thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. I'll go through it. And will you send out the recording then also?
Yes, yes. I will check if I can send it directly through this app, or if not, I'll upload it as private on YouTube and you'll receive an invitation.
Yeah, perfect. All works for me.
All
Enjoy
right.
your weekend and thanks so
Same to
much.
you.
And then we'll be in touch soon.
So sure. Bye.
Bye. Bye bye.